First of all, thank you so much for joining us. We are in Inmates to Entrepreneurs 8-week course. This is week 5. I know last week was super content heavy and we apologize. It's a lot of great information we had to get through. I know Josh and Nadav mentioned it last week, but this week is a lot less content heavy, meaning we have a lot more time for specific business questions and interactions. So definitely feel free to raise your hand, ask questions, use the chat. We definitely want to hear from you this evening. As always, this is being recorded. So I will send you that recap email tomorrow. If you have not been getting communications from me recently, I've had a handful of emails that are inboxes are full, emails are kicking back, various reasons. So if you haven't heard from me, please reach out. I want to make sure that you have all the information that you need. Besides that, if you can make sure that your username is who you actually are, that would be helpful. It looks like most of you have real names, at least on the username list, so that's helpful. And then, of course, if there are Zoom problems, the easiest way to troubleshoot would be just completely exit this meeting and then use the same link to come back in. I will monitor the kind of waiting room throughout the class, so don't worry about that. I'll definitely let you back in. Next week, we will be going more in depth about our graduation ceremony coming up. There's nothing you really need to know about it now. Just know next week, we're going to start talking about it. So you definitely want to be here. Otherwise, we have Josh, Nadav, and Brandon all back with us this evening. Instructors, I am making you all co-hosts now. If you want to come on, say a few things, we can start elevator pitches. And then whenever you're ready for PowerPoints, just let me know.
Hello, everyone. I'm Josh Nowak. I am co-founder of Breaking Free Industries. We are based here in Southern California. We are a screen printing business, not only putting out amazing swag, hoodies, tees, hats, and the like, but we're also a second chance employer. You can find us at Breaking Free BFI. Welcome back to week 5. Nadav, say hello.
And have Brandon say hello. I'm so excited to be back. I'll try to follow Josh's lead and timbre here. I'm Nadav Mayer, lecturer at Texas A&M University, College Station, Texas. I teach management, I teach marketing. I was an entrepreneur for 15 years. Now I bring that energy to undergraduates, and thankfully I get a chance to do it for you guys as well. And this will be my last time with your cohort, I am sorry to say. So it has been a pleasure to be with you, and I'm very excited to spend this last class talking to you guys about all the fun, silly, crazy, outrageous stuff you've been holding back on bringing up. This is the day we're going to do it. And Brandon is here, the real pro, to school us.
Hey, everybody. So it's nice to be here again. I don't do this as much as I wish I could. I love doing these events with you guys. So some of you may know my story. I've been on the wrong side of the fence. And so I know what everybody here has gone through, and I'm kind of rebuilding my life also. But my background, I have built and sold multiple companies. I've worked both on the sell side. So I've advised companies on how to sell. I've also bought companies both at an institutional level and as an individual. And so today what I do is I have a firm called Relentless Ventures, and we help businesses that are doing between $500,000 and $5 million per year in annual profit build up into what I call a institutional quality asset. And that is an asset that would be acquired by, say, a private investment firm or a strategic buyer. And what I always remind everybody is that, when you're building your business, remember that you're building an asset. You're not just building this thing that can generate a little cash flow that gets you through the month, right? You want to be building something because the asset that you're developing over time, over years, decades, et cetera, that is saleable. And that is a big transaction that can happen and really be a life-changing thing. So congratulations for everybody for taking that first step and being in this program. I am psyched to be here. So let's rock and roll.
With that, everyone, let's go hear some pitches. We have some time this week, so yeah, let's hear some pitches. Let's get some feedback here and all that sort of stuff. Who's up first? Who's gonna take it?
Let him stew, Josh. The silence is great. We'll have the silence and someone's gonna unmute and just drop it on us here.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm selecting the victim here. So
All
Go
good.
for it.
Cold calling. Oh, Jason. All right. Thanks for being the first
There he
volunteer. I
is.
mean, victim.
All right, so this is still all work in progress. I'm Jason Newvine, owner of Jump Around in Pahrump, Nevada. We provide a fun, clean, and safe indoor environment for the underserved children in our community. That's pretty much all I've got so far.
All right, so let's take that again. You're Jason, and what's your role?
Owner of Jump Around.
Okay, and what does Jump Around do?
So it's an indoor playground with blow up jump houses.
Okay, so you're Jason, you're owner of Jump Around, an indoor playground for presumably children, right?
Yes,
And you said you are in Pahrump, Nevada, right?
correct.
And why would I go to your place versus someplace else with my cranky 5-year-old kid?
So there's no other place in Pahrump.
Well, there are places, but
McDonald's?
not necessarily for 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just
We
saying.
we live in the desert, and there's no indoor play place in Pahrump.
Okay, so my name is Jason. I'm CEO of Jump Around. We are the only place we can take your children when it's a hot day, and you can find us at www.jumparound.com. You can find us over at wherever maybe you want to give us a location, maybe you want to give us an Instagram,
Yeah.
and then that's your pitch. I would get a little bit more enthusiastic because if you're thinking about trying to appeal to moms or dads of young children, hi, I'm Jason, and I am co-owner, or I am owner of Jump Around, based in Pahrump. What's the valley? What's it officially called? Is it the
Pahrump,
Palm Valley?
Nevada.
What's that?
Pahrump, Nevada.
And we're in Pahrump, Nevada. It is the only thing you can do with your children in Pahrump, Nevada. That's legal. And indoors. Come and check us out here at Jump Around Pahrump. Suddenly we've gone from something a little bit more on the drab side to something a little bit more exciting. So work on that pitch with a level of excitement. And again, a good pitch is going to tell me who you are, what's your role in that company, what does that company do? Something a little cheeky about what your company does. It's kind of helpful, right? We're the only thing, we're the only indoor game in town, and otherwise what would truly be Sin City. And how do I contact you? 555-JUMP. Is there a coupon that's coming up? Is there a holiday weekend coming up that you're doing a special there? Are you doing specials for birthday parties? It's going to be 100,000 degrees this weekend. Come indoors with your 5-year-old before they pass out on the street. Schedule your next birthday party over here because you don't want to do it outdoors. They will pass out.
So, Jason, are you writing this down? Like when you were presenting it, did you have it written down, or were you going off the cuff?
No, I have some of it written down.
So I would take the time, and like all the stuff Josh just mentioned, these are all awesome ideas. I would legitimately just write it out line by line and keep it real simple. Each sentence, one line, and that way it will make it easier for you to digest as you practice it. And then just like rip through it, man, over and over and over again until it comes off so easy and you sound confident. Josh was just making stuff up there, but the way he said it, he came across as confident, right? And that's like 80% of it, right? It's just coming across confident about what you're saying and about your business. So, and the only way to do that is just repetition, right? You just got to do it over and over again. So good start, man. But that would be my suggestion, is just start cranking it out, start writing it down.
All right, thank you.
These are great suggestions. I think Josh and Brandon both nailed it. The thing that I would add, I got the vibe right away. You started, it was like you were halfway there. We were just missing that other half. The other thing is think about what's special. You know, it's like we're at the corner of da da da. You can't miss us. We're in the Pepto-Bismol pink building, right? Whatever it is that someone is going to remember you by, especially in that local small town kind of way, assuming that's where you're from, and that kind of stuff stands out. That's great. I really appreciate you sharing and being the first one to share, because now we have a flood of other people. I believe it's Taylor is going to be next here.
Yes, hi. All right, here we go. My name is Taylor. I'm a proud owner of Taylor's Residential Cleaning. We are insured. We serve the Lehigh Valley area and PA, one dust bunny at a time. We focus on peers that are looking for professional and prestigious cleaning. You can find us at on Facebook at Taylor's Cleaning, or you may contact us from 8 to 5 every day at my phone number, and then 10% off for military clients.
I'm sorry, 10% off for the what?
Military clients,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, you don't want to slur that over. Lots to like about what you said. You told me again who you are, you told me what you're about, you're telling me where you're located. That's really important on residential. You made a little cute joke about the dust bunnies. Gotta love that too. I think it's more for you, it's just getting more practiced with it. Confidence. Start annoying your kid, your spouse. Heck, if you don't have either of those hanging around, look in the mirror, start annoying yourself. And get to the point.
I have a husband, so.
You can annoy him for that reason, and if he gets annoyed with you for it, tell him he can call me up. But get in the habit of being more and more practiced with it. And then separately, once you get past that point, start leaving your business cards in random places for that effort. You know, when you go over to the supermarket, leave a bunch of cards over on the community boards there.
Yep,
Because,
I leave business cards and flyers.
yeah, I mean, I was talking to another class participant about residential cleaning, and where you have high density housing, those are like gold mines, because you can spend 30 minutes going door to door to door in a high density kind of apartment complex and drop 500 business cards and not think twice of it. And you know somebody's going to call you from it, and it's pretty efficient. From a business perspective, you do want to think through how far out of the valley you want to go. Within Lehigh, okay, fine. Are you going to go out to Allentown? Are you going to go out to like, are you going to Bethlehem? Like, how far? Like, what's your driving radius? Is it?
Well, I'm actually in Whitehall, so I'm right by Allentown. I'm like on the line of.
Okay, just in your head, you want to make sure that if someone calls you up and says, "Hey, can you come down to me in Philly?" You'd be like, "No, sorry, that doesn't work." And I think we lost her.
I think we did lose her. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Who'd be next?
Steven said he wanted to go next after Taylor.
Only unless his backyard is totally shoveled. His backyard isn't shoveled. Not happening. Move on.
So it was shoveled as of 6 o'clock this morning, but now it is currently snowing again, and we've had 6 inches of snow already. So we are currently at about, I would say, 10 inches and expected a foot more by Friday. Yeah, that's how my life's going right now. It's wonderful. No.
Go ahead, talk about that pitch.
Yeah, okay. So anyways, my name's Steven Slicker. I am co-owner and operator of Purple Shelf Farms. We are a small family farm located east of Conrad, Montana, and we focus on regenerative farming practices using dairy and pasture-raised poultry. You can find us on our website at purpleshelffarms.com or on Facebook or Instagram at Purple Shelf Farms. And this week's special is a half a gallon of milk, a dozen eggs, and a pound of butter for $20. So we would love to have you earn your business. And if you have any questions, get a hold of us through email.
Outstanding. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see some palm trees in my background?
Yeah, and the nice blue sky. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it looks like I would say Antarctica here right about now. I busted out the tractor yesterday morning and plowed. And it looks like I'll have to do it again tomorrow.
Okay. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Yep.
Fantastic job. I've got nothing. Nadav,
That was really, really good. Sounds like you did that 1,000 times. So well
Yep.
done. That's what it takes. And that, like everybody else who's listening, like that's what it should sound like, right? It should sound that clean, confident, concise. You nailed every word. Good job.
Conversational. That's the nailing of it too. That as you're talking, we're chatting, all of a sudden that pitch goes in there. You don't even, it's not like, oh, let me give my pitch, right? And then it changes. No. It's, you add that smoothness. And I think that's a big takeaway for everybody to listen to, that you want it to be just like conversation, and it's not called an elevator pitch. It is for a reason. If you hop into an elevator with someone, you're like, what's going on? Oh, why are you carrying this bucket? I'm going to clean your neighbor's place, right? I do this cleaning. It's that kind of conversational thing. So, yeah, it's like, so what are you growing right now, Stephen?
Currently in the greenhouse, we have two types of lettuce growing. We have iceberg and oak leaf. And then Saturday, we are planting banana peppers, sweet peppers, and jalapenos in the greenhouse. So from here on out, every weekend's got something in it up until we'll probably stop planting in the greenhouse about the middle of May. And then the garden's going to be planted from April 15th all the way till about July 14th-ish, somewhere in there. So
it's great. So that's kind of the next question, right? If you wanted to have more in there, you could say, and just so you know, we're planting the jalapenos now, right? If you want to give more information, because I thought you were going to say for sure, we got nothing. We got to wait till it thaws out. But no, you got stuff going. It's amazing.
Nope, we actually have our first batch of chicks is coming in. It'll be here actually next Wednesday. So, yep.
Wow, this is great. All right, well, thanks for dropping that on us. Taylor is back, so we can give a little bit more feedback. Brandon, I know you just dropped a note to keep practicing. I saw that for her. I think also thinking back to Taylor, it just felt a little too long. It was a little bit not only scripted, but too long. So if you keep practicing it, you're going to want to tighten it up a little bit. But it sounds to me like you're off and rolling. I would love to see if you could unmute again here and tell us how business is going. It sounds like you got flyers out there. Tell us how many customers you got, how's it going? I'd love a whole report.
Yeah. So I started back in April of last year. So I'm hitting a year. I used to do cleaning with my Nana when she had a business when I was little. So I kind of like got the gist of it. But before Christmas, everything was booming. I was going, everything was great. And after Christmas, it's just been like dwindling down. And I think that's partially my fault because I was so busy. I wasn't posting on social media as much, but I do have business flyers out there. I do have business cards out there. I am doing all the things. I am out there. I am meeting people. And I have about, I want to say 15 clients. I make a full-time income on part-time hours. I'm working at least every day.
Amazing to hear. And I think for everybody on the class here, right, that this is someone who's doing it, right? It's a beautiful thing to have that inspiration to hear from somebody that's doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
So it sounds like it went down, but it's picking back up. You know, I tend to think of that residential cleaning business as so steady. You know, that once you get your customers going, that they're going to keep wanting to come back to you. So I'm surprised to hear that it was going down. You think it's seasonality? What?
I don't even know. So a couple of my clients, like, they were like, well, Christmas got me out of bind, so I have to wait a couple months. And this one guy, his wife passed away, so he didn't need me anymore. He moved to Florida. So it was just like different things that I understood, like, my service wasn't needed at these places anymore.
So you got to refill the funnel, get the
Yes.
pipeline going of all the people that are going to be the next customers.
Yep. And I do have customers that I have since I started. It's just like the new ones that I got kind of like dwindled down, that I kind of was betting on. Not betting on, but expecting that income in my household.
That's the chase of a lifetime.
Yeah.
This is great. Josh, Brandon, any other thoughts, questions?
No, I think we're good.
No, I think pretty good. I would say, Taylor, I think I made this recommendation before. Have you reached out to any contractors to do like the post construction cleaning? Like before they deliver like a renovation or something to a customer? That seems to be something that I think a lot of people overlook. I know it's probably a lot of work, but you could probably charge for that work. I'm just throwing ideas out there, right? Just to try to help you out, but
No, that's fine. The only problem with that is I don't know how would I go about that. Who would I contact? That's just where I'm at with it. Like, I'm just trying to figure out who would I contact. I wouldn't mind doing that. I
Yeah.
have a shop vac, I have a shampooer, I
Right.
have the equipment. It's just, I don't know like how I would go about that.
So the reason I suggest that is like anything that's consumer facing, like acquiring a consumer, like a customer, right? So direct to consumer tends to be longer and pretty expensive, right? And you're seeing that from all the time you have to invest to actually pick up a new customer. And so if you build relationships with, say, a contractor that's like, I don't know, flipping homes, I'm making all this up, but let's say you find a relationship with somebody who's flipping homes, they're regularly doing this. Well, that one relationship, maybe they do one home a month, right? Well, that just landed you 12 deals from one relationship, right? So I'm thinking about how do we kind of multiply your effort via relationships, and that's one way to do it. So that would be something that I would do, is try to build a long-standing relationship with folks in that world. Maybe you already know some, right? I would start there, and if you know people who are in construction, ask for introductions. It never hurts to ask. And that just an idea for you. But anyway, otherwise, good job, and good for you for getting out there and starting.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
What do you guys think? We have time for more pitches, or are we jumping into content yet? We're 5:25 Central Time.
Yeah, why don't we start moving into let's start moving into content here. We can take our time, and if we have, we'll probably have some extra time at the end if we want to take on the end of it all. And just as a sign, like, never be afraid to ask kind of for that next step. Like, you never know where your business is going to go just take this dramatic turn when you ask an innocent question of, hey, who else could use my service? And if we don't think, if we think that we know the answer to every question, we are cutting ourselves off. Earlier today, I was trying to find a particular safety vest. A certain client wanted a very, very specific vest. They didn't have an invoice, they didn't have anything. So I finally go out to the client's site and I grab a vest from the person that's there. And I take a look at the tag. The tag is barely legible. So I go onto the website, and it seems like they actually only sell one darn vest. So it's actually, I don't have to worry about kind of sifting through a variety of items. Oh, cool, perfect. So I call them up. Call them 3 days in a row and I couldn't get anybody on the phone. Finally, I called today and somebody answers the phone. Pretty darn cool. So I say, hey, how do I get this vest? I'd like to be able to print it. She's like, well, you can't print it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, we haven't been able to find a US printer. We actually print all of these we have one vest. We all print them in China. And if you can figure out how to print on this, we'd love to work with you. Okay, cool. Can you send me a sample? Sure. And then the gal tells me, if you guys can figure this out, we are the primary contractor for both Lowe's as well as Goodwill for all of their safety vests. And we are really looking for somebody who can try and print this stuff domestically. So I call my supplier up and I say, hey, do you think we could print on safety vests? He's like, of course. Okay. So I'm thinking to myself, could it be this particularly easy to be able to get, I'm not saying that we're going to get the contract to print for Lowe's and Goodwill. I mean, ultimately, China is going to be better on pricing, but China also requires a 14-week lead time. And sometimes they don't have a 14-week lead time available where they need merch. So sometimes if I can get something done in 1 week instead of 14, they may be willing to pay an extra $1 or $2 to have it done domestically instead of dealing with customs. As well as, given all of the geopolitical brouhaha nonsense, it's quite possible that things don't get in through the port. Any number of reasons can have it so that our ports close down. So if they have a domestic source, it actually bodes really well. So here I'm going from a kind of marginal, like la-di-da, my business here. And if I can get into like being a supplier to Lowe's and Goodwill, and that was just by virtue of me just following through on the lead because my client wanted this one particular Cosmo vest. This one particular vest is the one that they want. So it's like, okay, let's just see where it goes. And then they turn and say, hey, can you do all of our printing? Are you a contract printer? And the answer to that is always yes. If I ask Steven Slicker, hey, can you grow butterleaf lettuce instead of just, instead of iceberg? Yes. Not to say that he's always going to do that, but if I tell Steven Slicker, hey, I want to buy 24 heads of butterleaf lettuce from you, can you make that happen? He'll think about it. He would do it for Nadav. He won't do it for me.
I was going to say, I love the story because, for all of us that have not been in business, this is the vibe that happens when you're in business. When you have a business that's up and running like Josh has, opportunities are coming at you all the time. And this is actually one of the jobs of people that are in business is to decide, is this an opportunity that is good for me or not? Right? And be able to, deal with that fire hose of stuff coming at you and be able to learn the spam and the scammers and all the stuff that you shouldn't waste your time on. And in that mountain of craziness, find that nugget, like Josh said, of the vest people, right? That it's this amazing actual opportunity hidden in there among all this other stuff. So Brandon can probably tell us other stories like that, but I think this is a great way to think about the fire hose of what's coming at you as a business person. What do you think, Brandon? You got a similar story to tell?
I don't have anything that's coming to mind, but I mean, in our business, we have this, I call it the shiny object problem, right? So because of what we do, I have companies that come to us for help all the time, and I have to say no because there's only so much we can do, right? And we focus on very specific people. And so I don't have anything off the top of my head. If I remember something while we're chatting, I'll bring it up. But yeah, I mean, I think focus, once you get up and running, focus is key, right? And that's that, like repeatedly doing the thing that is that generates the highest return. That's where you need to focus your time. And being like selfish in that regard, I think is actually very important for the health of the business.
So the shiny object situation, it's like the thing that distracts you. It takes
Correct.
you away from your vision and your focus.
That's correct. Yeah. And that happens a lot. I mean, especially as you advance in your business, like people are, like you just said, Nadav, is that people are going to come to you with lots of different opportunities, but you have to be willing, you have to have the discipline, I guess, to be able to determine what is worth your time and what is really just a distraction. And the challenge is that most things look like they're worth your time at first. And so you have to learn to go a few layers deep to really figure out what is appropriate that you should be working on. But when you're first starting, and like when you're in your first, I'll say, 3 years, it's just like put the blinders on and get out there and just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you will eventually break through.
I love this.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to start us off, Brandon? I love where you're going with this. You want to hit the slide for us?
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't presented this class yet, so this will be fun. So, Josh and Nadav, please jump in if I miss something. So vision is kind of an interesting thing, and I work with people a lot who are what I consider visionaries. And really, a vision, to break it down in its most simple form, is what you'd like your business to become when it's all done, right? The customer that you serve, the profile of the business, the size of the business, the culture of the company, your mission, your values, all this stuff, right? What is it that makes up your business? How you deliver a product, right? And the idea behind this, and like when we help people do business planning, we actually start here. I asked the CEO to just write down everything. I want you to just do a total brain dump into a document about what it is that you see in your future. And I see in the deck, you've got 5 years. I do a 3, 5, and a 10-year vision, right? And you can do it however you want. It could be a 1-year vision. It could be a 7-year vision. It's really your call. I think 5 years is a perfect place to start. And then you actually want to just like describe it in great detail, like excruciating level of detail, number of employees, how you feel when you come to work, what your employees are saying to you, what your customers are saying about your business or the service that you're delivering. Like, get really, really detailed and feel it out. Like, it's very important that you feel this. And then you get into the more economic things, like, okay, well, I want to be making, I don't know, $1 million in revenue. I want to have 25 employees. I want 10 trucks, right? Like, you start to break down the economics of the business. And then what we do from that point is we actually then turn that into it's a quasi math formula, where we say, okay, well, if you want $1 million in revenue, how much revenue do you generate per customer? Okay, well, right, if it's $1,000, right, then we do the math and we figure out how many customers you have to be serving over that period of time. And then when we figure out how many customers we have to be serving, we figure out, okay, well, if we convert 10% of our leads, this is how many people we have to get in front of, right? And so what we're doing is we're going from a really big picture vision all the way down to the tactical items that we then have to go execute on to be able to ultimately achieve that vision. And so, Josh and Nadav, I don't know if this is exactly how you present vision, but this is something that I do, kind of day in and day out, and this is how we approach it. So please feel free to dive in.
You're a champ, Brandon. And you did a great job with this. The other way that I like to think about vision is more in the dream way, like a personal, here's my dream for what I want for my life, and is my business going to fit into that? And the dream and the visionariness, for me, and they kind of go together. The other thing is, we've talked about in this class, there are folks that we tend to see, through the I2E world and other entrepreneurs, where they say, I have this idea, but I don't want to tell you about it, right? It's the secret idea. And I always like to tell people, ideas are almost meaningless. It's almost worthless. We can create these ideas and have them going around. It's the execution. It's the action that matters. It's the doing. With that said, if you don't have a vision or a dream, your doing is mindless, right? You don't have a direction. You don't have a path to go. So in your personal life, you should have dreams, right? You should be dreaming about all the ways that you can be a better person, better citizen, better husband, in these beautiful ways, better person for your community. So for me, those dreams are always aligned with this stuff, with the vision for your business. What do you think, Josh? Too altruistic?
No, I mean, the whole point of vision is, why are you doing what you're doing? When we get passionate about whatever it is that we're doing, that's where magic happens. Yeah, we could. It's hard to get being like really enthusiastic about being, I don't know, a trash man or something that. But when we realize that what we're doing in our lives is contributing to a higher good one way or the other, it does two things. One, our fervor and our enthusiasm translates nicely. And the second thing that happens is that it adds purpose. So like, for example, I really don't give a shit about apparel. It's cool and all that, but I'm really passionate about getting second chances taken care of. I think everyone in this world needs a second chance at life. And my little way of handling that is, how do we take care of people that have come out of the judicial system and getting them a job? Okay, cool, rock and roll. And that passion becomes my calling card. And when people are passionate about what they do, you're going to stand out from the crowd when there's 5 people in the room and you're like, you could, I'm going to push Stephen out in the bus here. He is incredibly passionate about life on the farm. I will razz him until my last breath of life about living in the middle of fucking nowhere, where he is under ungodly amounts of snow, and he will smile and take the digs as they come. But if you listen to him talk about life on the farm, I don't think he could be any happier. If we traded places, I think he'd be absolutely miserable with those palm trees and the sunny skies and the balmy 65-degree temps. He would be miserable because he would not be on the farm with the goats and churning butter and all that sort of stuff. His enthusiasm for his lifestyle and his business drips. Now, some of our businesses, it's a little harder to do that, but if you can kind of think about how that passion shows up for him, you want to do business with Stephen because he's that passionate about it. You don't even give a shit about the goat. You don't care about the fact that about the lettuce. And in fact, you'll drive probably a few minutes out of your way to say hi to Stephen and spend $2 more for your gallon of milk because Stephen will make you happier for having done so. We often talk about, let's stay out of the price war game because no one likes shopping at Walmart. We all may shop at Walmart, but we don't necessarily like it. Why? Because it's kind of you're there for one purpose only. It's based on price and it's convenience. It's not because you get stellar service. It's not because you feel good after leaving Walmart, for the most part. When you have that personal touch, you command a higher value. And so when we start thinking about vision, it allows us to get excited about our own business and allows others to get excited about our business too. And the common question, especially in business school circles, we get into the conversation of, well, what makes you different? And what Nadav said before was spot on. It's like, well, it's execution, silly. What I love about Microsoft versus everybody else is Microsoft really never had an imaginative idea of its own. Everything that Microsoft is known for is something that somebody else created. Microsoft just knew how to execute the crap out of a marketing plan. And kind of where we go with this on a personal level is when we start thinking about the vision for our business, combine that with our elevator pitch as if it's really happening in real time. And then we start kind of feeling like this is really our baby and our opportunity to kind of shine. And the risk in this, the peril in this, is that we start getting a little nervous about, I can't embody that person. I'm not that CEO. I'm a felon. I'm a shyster. I'm a thief. I'm an addict, or whatever it is, whatever label that we've used for ourselves in the past to describe our actions. But if we're going to use a label, let's try a new label. Let's call it entrepreneur. There's something in many circles called an imposter syndrome, that it can't be me. I'm not a CEO. I am not a founder. I'm not an entrepreneur. And we kind of like put the success factor beyond our realm of reach. It's as if to say that we are ourselves calling ourselves a failure before we even get started. So the idea of visioning here is to start with that in the mind and think, I can do this. Now, I'm not saying I'm even good at this every day. There are certainly my share of days where I feel like a total asshole and I'm sucking at life. And it's far too often for me to even want to admit. But in my better days, I see a vision about where I am, where I'm going, and I own this thing like nobody's business. And I'm incredibly emphatically passionate about the notion of second chances. Again, apparel is a way for me to get there because, for me to hire somebody and teach them a lot of things, that's an obstacle. To teach somebody how to make a shirt isn't that hard. To teach someone how to run a heat press or a screen press, not that hard. So yeah, these are things that we ultimately use to set our business apart from the competition. And when someone asks me about, well, what do you do that's different than competition? I'll tell them not a damn thing. But why we do what we do is entirely where it's at. And then people are like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, most other print shops are there to line the pocket of the owner who makes whatever they make. And all of his people make minimum wage, find the cheapest people that he can. He'll complain about the overtime and he'll complain about all the other things. I can't find good people. And I just look at him and say, that's not my problem. So our vision is why we're doing what we're doing here.
Great, Josh. Thanks for sharing all that. And I think it's an important thing to echo you, the imposter syndrome, but also this vision that we need to feel strongly in ourselves that, we can dream, and that we're in a place that we can have that power to dream. So I think, Ali, we're ready for the next slide, please. And as long as you guys don't mind, I can take this one. All right. So thinking about values, this is very personal for a lot of people, right? You have certain values, things that you think are important, ways that you see the world, all sorts of interesting research on this, what you believe, things you think that are important. So you need to have a grasp on that to be able to then talk to your employees about it so they can communicate that vision to your customers, right? Your goal is that your customers will hear, see, taste, feel, touch that vision when they interact with you. So when Steven sells lettuce, right? He's not just selling lettuce. He's selling his whole thing, all his values, all his vision to move to the place that he moved to do this business in this community, right? And when people eat his lettuce, they're actually tasting that. It's so powerful. So the people and customers that are out there that are going to support you are the people that are buying into you. They're buying into your vision. They're buying into your view of the world and what's important in a very community building, loving kind of way. And I know from experience, this is out there waiting for each of you. There are going to be customers out there who are just going to totally drink your Kool-Aid in terms of what I'm doing. And people are like, you're doing amazing. You're saving the world, dude. This is great. And those people are out there waiting for you, those customers. So when you put yourself out there, expect some people are going to be feeling it. So there's lots of different values out there. Value really could be community engagement, right? The value could be like for Josh, I'm printing shirts, but that's not really what I'm worked up about. It's about second chances in employment, right? So there's some other values here to consider. Integrity, this is how you carry yourself, right? Are you true to your word? Excellence, again, kind of hard to measure, but that's to your standard. Ownership, are you taking ownership of the bad and the good, right? If customers have a problem, do you take that as the opportunity to really show what you're made of, to take care of that problem in an amazing way? This gratitude thing, thanking your customers, right? If this is a value in your place where your employees say, hey, every time we sell a shirt, you're going to send a personal thank you card to each customer. This kind of stewardship is the word they use in philanthropy, but really taking care of your customers, making sure that they see you, that thanking them can be amazing. Because people, you know what it's like to buy from whoever. They're not thanking you. But when it's you and it's personal, when you give that thanks, people really respond to that. There's this abundance thought that we all have a lot, and therefore we can share it, that feeling of abundance. Teamwork, how are we working as a team? And this also gets into the employee thoughts too. Balance in all those ways, work-life balance ways too, right? If you give your employee that you rely on a day off to go to the doctor, and your customers come in and they see you behind the counter and it's like, where's Sheila? They're like, Sheila, a doctor's appointment today. I love my employees. I want them to go to the doctor. Right? Your customers are going to see that and say, wow, this person loves their employees. Gives you a chance to tell that story. Consistency can be great. Obviously you want to make things repeatable for your customers. Seems like an obvious value that we want. And fun. Fun is a big one for me. When you go to work, we tend to think that going to work is not that fun. When my employees came to work for my place, it was work some of the time, but there was also a lot of fun. We got to hang around, joke around, put on the music they wanted to listen to. There was a lot of silly moments, a lot of great memories that I have of hanging out with my team and just kind of creating that fun environment where you wish that you could go to work in that kind of place. When you own the business, You get to set the table in that way. You get to set the table with the values you want and the vibe you want. So this is something for you guys to think about in terms of what's valuable to you. You know, how do you want your place to be? Josh, Brandon?
I'm good.
So you reminded me of something and I just pulled it up. I'm going to share it in the chat, but this is actually, it's a marketing concept, but I think that it's relevant here because when you're building a business, I don't want to use this word, but you're kind of like building a little cult, right? Like you're building an ideology and your values, everything you just described, Nadav, that should flow through to both your customers and your employees. And there's this really wonderful article about building a business. And it's not that you need to serve millions of customers. It's about creating 1,000 true fans of your business. So like 1,000 members of your little cult, right? People who buy everything you put out there. And it aligns with values, right? That there is an audience for what it is you're creating, but you need to be very specific about what it is you're creating and who you're serving. And so I encourage everybody to take a minute and go read this article. It's really good, especially if you're just starting out and you're thinking about all of this. But yeah, that's what I would add, Nadav. Thank you.
Super fun. That's great. I'm going to read that after class.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, what do you think? Should we make Josh do a slide?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
He was bored.
All right, changing gears a little bit here. In the past, when we used to teach this class, a couple of years ago, we would be thinking about, in order to get feedback, we would have to go to slightly different mechanisms. We would need to do surveys and things like that. The feedback loop has gotten incredibly easy. Social media reviews are kind of where it's at. And depending upon your business, depends upon kind of where things go for you. Google, Yelp, Amazon, Angie's List, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all that sort of stuff, LinkedIn, YouTube. These are all places, Nextdoor. These are all places where you can get a level of traction in your community. Not only are they good for reviews, but they're also ways for you to network within your community to start getting additional business. And depending upon the nature of what you're doing, depends upon kind of where you're at. I would say for Stephen, Yelp, Google, and Instagram in particular are all going to be really, really helpful. For Esteban, I'd say Instagram will be incredibly helpful, as would Yelp. Because when people start looking about, hey, I need to get my car washed, where am I going? For those folks who've got a little bit of gray hair, you might remember what Yellow Pages are. I haven't seen a Yellow Pages book in probably 20 years. And a Yellow Pages book used to be a physical book that you get on your doorstep once a year, twice a year. That would give you a business listing, and then you kind of, hey, I'm looking for car washes, and then you'd see an advertisement for a car wash. Now you go to your phone and say, hey, look, I'm looking for a pizza store near me, mobile car wash detailing near me. And what's going to come back is either Yelp or Google, and it'll give you some thoughts as far as where you need to be. And right alongside of it are going to be the stars from the community saying where you're at. Now, once you have that, and we're going to get into this, is if people are commenting about your service, it's probably a pretty good idea for you to acknowledge it, especially if it's negative. Yeah, you still have your traditional options by customer surveys, by email, text message, and all that. That's a way to ask some pointed questions of, especially when you have staff. Were you greeted in a timely manner? Are you happy with your purchase? These are ways for you to ask very specific questions to get very, almost get very specific feedback items, as opposed to like the social media reviews. People are going to tell you what they think. It may not be in a format that is helpful to you. They could be slamming you and trolling you. They could be saying, hey, wow, you did a great job. All of it's feedback, but a survey allows you to be having a level of structured feedback so that 85% of the time you do right. This is all about quantifying your success. So if I'm getting a bunch of 5-star reviews, that's feedback. That's a quantifiable measure. And the ways that you can start doing that is you measure your existing sales, and then you kind of track when you have a new client that comes in the door, how'd you find out about me? Oh, I found you on Yelp. I found you on Google. I was driving on by in the middle of nowhere, Montana. My best friend used your service, 2 weeks ago, and I needed the same thing. And then when you do get a return, where did things go sideways? Give yourself a pretty good kind of, where in this process did things go wrong? Now, being a little arrogant, we never mess up. It's not really a matter of mess up. If someone got to the point of either returning something or something went sideways, think about it for a second, is what's my role in this? And you can think about this in any level of your life, in any of your relationships. When you get to a point of an argument, rather than immediately saying it's their fault and they messed up, ask yourself, what's our part in this? Now, the answer could very well be, this is our part in this. Let's learn for next time. This is our part in this. I don't necessarily feel the need to make a change in our process, but this is where things went sideways here. And then you decide, do I want to make a change? Because especially when you're dealing with consumers and public consumers at that, you can't solve for everything. But oftentimes when you are working for the general public, you will find things of like, I did not have that on my bingo card as being a possibility. I guess we have to think about that. I didn't think it was possible for, in Esteban's world, goes ahead, cleans the car, and customer complains saying, hey, dude, what happened to my crumpled up piece of paper? It's in the trash. I needed that piece of paper. It's in the trash. Okay, note to self in the policy and procedure manual, it was a reasonable expectation for me to throw this thing away. But maybe I don't want to do that again. Maybe I'll just leave all the trash aside, or even ask the question, hey, if we see what looks to be like trash, are we good to throw it away? Is there anything in here that we need to kind of be watchful of? And it's not to say that you were wrong for having thrown it away, but it's just like, hey, how do I learn from this situation? How do I learn from where did something go wrong?
Great.
And again, it's not a matter of how can I really beat myself up? It's more a matter of how do I make this so that the next time around, when this situation comes around, that, things are a little easier. Things aren't as messed up. Hey, let's get a customer sign off on this. Hey, let's just make sure that I add one more thing in there to try and reserve the level of doubt, because I thought I was pretty smart. I thought we covered it all. Eventually you come across a dumbass customer who's just challenges all logic, and you're like, well, shit, I got to go take care of the least common denominator. Steven turns around, Steven's at the store, someone picks up a dozen eggs, kid runs right into the guy, the dozen eggs drops to the floor, and now Steven's eating the dozen eggs because he doesn't have the heart to charge the family for the dozen eggs that dropped to the floor. Like, okay, so maybe we move the eggs that are now $20 a dozen, we may move them up a shelf. Because who knew, a 4-year-old person was going to just run into the egg bin. Didn't think that was going to happen. Crazy stuff happens, and let's not beat ourselves up. Let's just say, hey, that wasn't a great outcome. Let's try not doing that again.
And part of that not doing that again is creating processes, having some system where you can learn from things that come up. I think it's really important, Josh. It's great. On the social media front too, Josh mentioned, respond when you get a negative social media review. It's 100% true. So people are going to judge you more as a business by how you respond than by what somebody wrote. Because today we all know we can write a negative review about anybody. As a customer, there is no consequence for us as a customer to write that negative review. The real story is, how do they write back? So when you respond, I know what I used to have to do with take a breath, maybe go for my run, right? Do whatever to get myself into the frame of mind that I'm not going to be impulsive with my response. And then really gently acknowledge what happened, apologize, offer to fix it. It doesn't matter if it was a problem they caused, right? It was like I smeared human feces on the wall and then I didn't want to see it and you're getting a bad review, right? It's still, you still have to apologize for having a bathroom that's publicly accessible, right? It's like, doesn't matter what it is, you just need to apologize. That's the right tack to take, in my opinion. Another part of this is your customers, 90% of them, maybe more, will never say anything bad to you. They might say it to their neighbor, they might say it to their friend, but nobody's going to come up to Stephen in the small town and say, Stephen, that lettuce choice was a really bad choice. Don't make that lettuce choice again, right? Instead, they're all polite, and behind their back, your back, they're going to talk amongst themselves or spread it around that the lettuce this year, we don't know what's going on, but it tastes really weird. So just expect that it's going to be hard to get that information from your customers. The social dynamic is such that they're not always going to tell you what they really think. So put a lot of credence, a lot of power in the stuff you do hear, because it just shows there's probably 10 other people or more out there that had the same thing that didn't tell you. Brandon, you got anything to add here?
Not much, other than good customer service is a superpower. And so, and I think like 90% of customer service is just communication. It's effective communication. Respond, be polite, be direct. If there's an issue, address it like right between the eyes. Hey, we made a mistake. We're going to make this right. And you know what? Like immediately you disarm, 9 out of 10 people, right? With that approach. And then that will then begin to snowball because you will build a reputation. And I imagine most people on this call are building service-based businesses. Non-service-based businesses, it's important as well, but especially for service-based businesses that you have to have really, really strong customer service. So I will shut up. I think that would be my parting thought.
I think it's great. I love it. Esteban's got this. He already knows. He's leaving the bags, the right bags for people. What looks like trash. This is great. Brandon, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sorry, trouble unmuting myself. Yeah, so feedback. So this is, I think, just really an extension of everything we were just talking about. But getting feedback is an interesting thing. I think that if we're talking like reviews, social media, video reviews are extremely powerful. They can be difficult to get because I think people are hesitant to be on camera, et cetera, et cetera. But if you can get them, and if you should ask for sure if people would be willing to do a video review. Like if you pick your top 5 raving fans, and they love you, they love everything you do for them, and they can't say enough good things about you. Ask for a video review. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, but it can be very, very powerful. Video is it's really just the communication tool of today, and I think the future. So that would be one idea. Another one, so look, I am not a big social media person. I have to be completely honest. I have teams of people that do this stuff. I don't even have a social media account. So I'm probably the worst person to ask, but in terms of engagement, again, if you're going to go the social media path, what I do know is that it's very, very much about consistency. And you have to be constantly engaging with your audience and posting about what you're doing. I think, Taylor, you said in the beginning, when your business started to tail off a little bit, it was because you weren't engaging with the folks that were bringing you business, right? So that's a really good real-time example of the impact of this stuff. So I don't have a ton on this one. I will defer to you, Nadav or Josh, if you guys have any clever ideas.
Well, I think to just contradict for just a second, what works for you in your business. When you ask 10 other people about what you think, you're going to get 10 other opinions.
I don't know. They did that. No, we got to take it out. I don't hear the people.
You're going to get 10 other opinions that kind of come along for the ride. So I was having a one-on-one conversation with one of the class attendees here, and we were into somebody from SCORE was like, oh, you have to be all over social media. You have to be doing this. Think about for a second, what do you know is going to work for you? And what is the business that you're in? And how do you kind of make that happen? And, yes, there are many businesses that are really dependent upon social media and social media engagement. And some are about being in the community, and some are about any number of different things. I think where you want to be is just measure and just try and see what works for yourself. When we're getting in using customer feedback, yeah, reviews. Nadav said it before, spot on. When you get a review that's not flattering, engage. Again, people are going to engage. They're going to evaluate more on your response than what someone actually wrote. We all know that you can't please everybody. So it's more a matter of, we are so sorry that we disappointed your expectations. Here's $5, try us again. Yeah. Just be very, very careful for a second in that never offer, don't be as if you're paying for a review. You can get into a lot of trouble on most of the platforms for doing that. You can offer free product in exchange for an unbiased review, but you don't want to be in the position of saying, oh, I'll give you $10 for you to say something nice about me. Don't want to do that.
Yeah, and
Stephen
even-
wants to share something here, so let me just unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So when it comes to like the social media aspect, we actually, being a farm, there's a lot of hands-on day-to-day stuff, or and chores anyways that need to be done. And for the social media aspect, what I found that works for us personally is when we were first getting involved into it, I was posting almost every day, and I got to the point where I'm like, what do I post? What do I do? You know, because people kind of expect it. Well, doing the everyday posts, it looked like the customers were almost getting annoyed and bored of the people that follow us. So what I actually started doing is, so every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have Facebook posts. And those are the 3 days that we do. Monday out, like for example, this week, we have the weekly special, which is milk, eggs, and butter. So that got posted on Monday. And then Wednesdays and Fridays post will be something around that. So it's topic specific throughout the whole week. And then if people want to, they can follow us on the Instagram, where that gives it more of an in-depth for explaining and examples of what the day-to-day business is, of trying to run a farm and preparing packages and processing milk and doing a more in-depth. And it seems like on the Instagram, that's more of what people are looking for. On the Instagram aspect of it is, okay, what goes into it? But then in Facebook, they're just flipping through, seeing, oh, there's 30 seconds, and you've got their attentions for anywhere from 5 seconds to 30 seconds. So the Facebook is short, sweet, to the point, and done. So I just kind of wanted to chime in. And like I said, that's what we've seen to help work for us, is just keeping it short, sweet, to the point, and then expanding on the other social media accounts.
Stephen, it's great. I really appreciate you sharing that, because that brings that to life for everybody here, you know, that we can imagine you posting every day, right? And we can imagine being on the receiving end of that as followers for you potentially, and saying like, oh, it's too much. Yep. So that was the point that I was going to make, is follow a schedule. You know, if you're going to commit to doing this, figure out also what days, times is there most engagement on the platform you're posting on. And you can get that research online sometimes pretty easily with a couple searches, and know like, oh, I need to be posting Tuesday morning between these times, right? And that can help you. I think there's also certain businesses and categories of businesses that maybe need to rely on this less. So for example, residential cleaning, not much you can post, right? You're not going to be posting pictures of your customers' places too much. That can be sketchy, privacy invasion kind of vibe, right? And it doesn't seem like that's a business that lends itself to having that kind of engagement. As opposed to, let's say, Esteban, right? If you're cleaning people's cars, nobody's going to be mad if you post a picture of their car. And I can imagine Esteban's feed, right? All pictures of Bentleys and Lamborghinis, and look at all these cool cars that I got to clean this week. And oh my God, look at this gum, you know, that was caked on one. Right? You can imagine the stories. So having the schedule, but having the right stories, I think is really big too. The other thing is, yeah, definitely don't pay for reviews, but encourage them, you know, among your customers and among your friends, especially at the beginning. I know I just got an email maybe a week or two ago for the review that I gave to Josh's company for when I bought t-shirts. I haven't even talked to Josh about this. I got a nice email from Google saying, nice job on your review. 100 people have seen it. Pretty nice, right? So apparently those go out to, I don't review very often. I think the last time I did review was for Josh. But Google Maps, you know, we mentioned Google, we're really talking Google Maps. I think the usage of Google Maps as a source for a lot of folks looking for local businesses has really gone up at the expense of places like Yelp. A lot more people are using Google Maps, and that's what translates to a lot of searches. So I would make sure that your Google business page is really in good shape. With that said, I think unless you guys have more comments, we can jump to the next slide. All right. We've talked about this. We'll review. If and when you get the negative review, respond with love. Don't respond impulsively. You know, it's definitely your fault. Whatever happened, offer to contact them offline, give them a free whatever, cleaning, anything. If customers see that you're taking care of people when they have a problem, that is gold. When you have a problem that you can fix publicly, you've just shown all your other customers that you are the best. Because they're not going to judge you based on how you do every day. They're going to judge you when things are at their worst, when you are in the face with somebody who's mad at you. So you be amazing at that point. Showing that you're responsive, you cannot get rid of those negative reviews, but they do get washed away over time. You know, and then Josh and I famously, over the course this year, we always have this fight that I say, you got to be at 100% satisfaction. You want to get your customers as happy as possible. And Josh always says, I don't trust a business that has a 5.0 review. I want the 4.5 business that has, it's a real business, it's got some negative reviews. So this is a debate that we can have in business. I always think the higher, the better. You know, it's really shows you what the business has going on. If they're that amazing, that's one way that it gets communicated. Employee feedback is another thing that's really important. And much like customers, there is a high social cost to employees to tell you they have a problem, right? It takes, and you can imagine yourself as an employee to come to your supervisor, to your boss, and say, we got a problem, right? That takes some, there's a cost there. So usually by the time it gets to that point, it's a big problem. There's a lot going on. So you want to try to get people talking to you as employees more often. Make sure you have really good communication with them, like with customers, where you can get information from your employees. Brandon, Josh, what do you guys got to correct, expand, and explain for me here?
I mean, the only thing that I would do, so, and this maybe isn't relevant until you have, you know, a meaningful number of employees, but I think as a leader, what I used to do is I would do a blind evaluation of me, and I would ask my employees to evaluate me as a leader anonymously. And you have to be ready for that because you're going to get some honest feedback. But that's, I think as a business owner, you want that honest feedback. Like you want the brutal, I want the brutal, honest truth. Hit me between the eyes. I need to know about it. Because like I can't solve a problem I don't know about. Right. So don't be afraid of getting feedback from your people. The people on the ground are going to be, they're going to have the best understanding of your offering and your customers and what's working and what's not. So that can be a huge resource. So don't shy away from that honest feedback.
Josh, you got anything, or you want the next slide?
I'll take the next slide.
Oh, the hard one.
Facts. Yeah, so this week we're going to open up to just general comments here in just a second here, just because overall this is a much lighter content. We a little bit more kind of fluff in terms of more holistic about how do we want to think about our businesses. Now, on the one side, we talk about the vision about who we aspire to be, and then sometimes our customers aren't on board with us. What do you mean we're not the best? What are you talking about? Of course we're the best. So, I mean, and even sometimes we're not going to live up to our own expectations of ourselves. That happens. It's okay. It's more a matter of when things go sideways, what do we do? I'm always much more concerned about, it's not, because eventually we all fall down. We all fall down on expectations. We all fall down on our own commitment to self. Then what? You go to you go out to dinner, you order the hamburger, they put some cheese on that hamburger. I said, I'm sorry, my bad. I'm sorry, I happened to order a hamburger and not a cheeseburger. If the person just give you a hard time, it's just like, what are you doing? Stop. Like, why are you giving me a hard time about this? Like, don't die on this hill. So it's more a matter like eventually from time to time, we're going to miss our expectations of customers. We're going to miss the expectations of our team members. We're going to miss the expectations of ourselves. Have a vision though. One of the reasons why we talk about the elevator pitch, yes, there's a very practical thing about being able to articulate what it is that you do, but more than just being able to articulate what you do, you're articulating for yourself of this is the business I aspire to own. This is a business I already own. So once you start getting to that fact of getting into that place of this is mine and I'm embodying I'm manifesting the business of my dreams, it's like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. So you start getting to that point of, well, how do other people think about this? And using feedback as an opportunity to improve. Too often in our lives, we have received feedback as being very, very negative in nature. I made a bad choice and now I'm in handcuffs. Fuck. That's feedback. That's definitely feedback. Thankfully, for the most part in business, we're not going to end up in that same position. But what we want to do is have a good, honest self-reflection of what can I always do better? What can I do to get, like a conversation I'll frequently have with my kid? What can I do to be a better dad? And it's not to say that I'm a bad dad. It's more a matter of what can I do to be a better dad? That's the issue. What can I do to be a better business owner? What can I do to be a better lover? What are things that I can do to be a better human on this planet? What are things I can do to be a better business owner? When we start taking it from that perspective, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't about beating ourselves up. This isn't about all that sort of stuff. It's more a matter of how do we take a good thing and make it slightly better than where we are.
And it's
Sound good?
clear for the parenthood part that it's ice cream every day. Right, is the right answer. Sometimes people can't identify what is the right thing, what'll really help them. But I know if I ask my kids, they'd say ice cream every day would be the right answer. Great comments, Josh. I learned this week that the special time at the end of when you have extra time in a Zoom call, this is called confetti time. So I feel like we are all in confetti time, beautiful bonus time that we can hang out, do what we want to do with. So who wants to talk? We can talk about whatever, your feelings, your vision, your dreams. This is kind of open for us to hang out. You guys want extra advice from Brandon about how to make millions of dollars and be one of his customers? He'll tell you. All you got to do is ask. He's here for us. And I'm not even kidding. Look how serious he is, right? He's ready.
Give me something juicy. Let's go. What do you got?
Anyone else want to go do their pitch?
I don't have a pitch, but I have some positive news and possibly good information for people.
Go for it.
That is if everybody can hear me. I got really bad reception right now. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
No, you're
Yeah.
good.
So this weekend I actually went to it's called the Chippewa Valley Innovation Center. I found out that they have an incubation place and I highly encourage everybody to go to them. The rent is super cheap. It's only $400 a month and I got 1,250 square feet. I am filling out the paperwork, the application this week. And it looks like I'm going to get it. It is huge and it's free water and electricity included. And I'm starting an epoxy river table building business and a microgreens business. And because I'm all about starting small businesses to until whichever one takes off the most, I'm also starting window washing and pressure washing. I've got everything bought and paid for over the last 6 months. I've been squirreling away all my money and saving it to buy the stuff because I didn't want to take out a bank loan. I hate banks, which is weird because I'm Jewish, but it looks like it's going really well. And I absolutely encourage anybody to look up incubation centers in your area because for $400 a month, that's incredibly good for almost 1,300 square feet. And the people at the incubation center actually have business people that come and help me do everything I need. They're actually going to help walk me through it and coach me. So anybody out there, I definitely encourage you to look up incubation centers and stuff in your area. because mine's a nonprofit one, and it works with the people on the committee are people from the Small Business Development Center, Small Business Administration. I didn't even know there ain't no incubation centers in my area. I've been here 24 years. Look it up. There's 3 of them. What? No idea. But yeah, they had an open bay. It just so happens the stars aligned and everything worked out. So I am going to be the proud business owner of 4 small little micro businesses. But I openly encourage everybody to look up incubation centers.
It's amazing, Anthony. So tell us where you're at before you go away. What is the metro area that has this incubation center?
I am actually in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It is Western Wisconsin, and it sucks here. It is tomorrow. We're supposed to get 8 to 12 inches of snow. I am so trying to move where I can see palm trees from my house. I'm trying to be like in Josh's backyard. You're gonna see me, Josh, I'm your neighbor. But it's very small in Western Wisconsin. It is pretty it's pretty small over here. It's only like 90,000. But I'd looked up free business resources, and I learned all these resources because I just graduated college for business entrepreneurship about a year ago with honors. So despite the fact I've been to prison 3 times, man, don't give up. Keep going. Just because you've been to the joint does not mean you're a failure. This whole time sitting here, I have been posting this course on Snapchat, Facebook, everything, trying to get my friends into it, through the Hamilton Foundation to get them into it. I absolutely encourage everybody to do it. Look up free resources for business and stuff. Look up the SBA, look up SBDC, go in, talk to them. They have so much free stuff. It is, if you're not successful, it's because you're not trying. There's really no other way to say it. Get up off your butt, do the research. Don't make an excuse. Don't sit here and be like, oh, I don't know what to do. Google it, look it up. You have this thing called a phone. You have more computing technology in your phone than the space shuttle that went to the moon back in the 60s. Okay, you have no excuse to not be able to get to the stars. If they can get to the moon with this, you can get to the next galaxy. Get up, don't make excuses, work through it. Let's go.
Yeah, you are not holding back, Anthony. You are giving it all to us. This is the pepper, the spice that we need for the push.
Man, after I got out of prison, I went to national leadership training and got into politics and stuff. I don't know how I went from prison to politics, but it was successful. I've been on the news 3 times. I've been to the governor's office for special recognition. I've been to the governor's mansion twice. Like, man, I'm not giving up. Like, I see all these people in prison, like they just give up, bro. They just give up. In and out, doing life on the installment plan. No, but I'm not going to be like my uncle. He's done almost 40 years now. I refuse. I'm done. I'm over it. I don't want to sit here living paycheck to paycheck, man. I'm trying to build an empire here. You're going to see me. I'm going to be like King Solomon, man. I'm going to be rich.
I love it. So these businesses, I want to refocus back on what your actual plans are, because these are cool, interesting businesses. So I can envision the epoxy tables. I can envision the microgreens. I can envision the 6 weeks a year you can wash windows outside in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Right? So yep. The question I have in my mind, if you're going to do farmers markets, again, those 6 weeks in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, or are you going to do the artist show circuit where you can sell?
No. For my microgreens, the business plan is that we're actually going to be contacting restaurants in the area, because the farmers market stuff, we really only have like 3 months of good weather here. And it's the food markets and the market stuff are so packed that there's nothing. I mean, microgreens is a very, very, very small thing up here. It's not really taken off up here. So I want to be in the front. So we are specifically targeting restaurants so that way we can keep them growing all year long. And because of, this is Wisconsin, it's the second coldest state. We have too much snow. I need to make sure that it's like in-house. I'm not doing it outside. We don't have the we don't have the temperature for it. So
we have someone, Steven, right here, who knows all about growing greens. What microgreens advice can you give to Anthony? I'd love to hear this.
So microgreens are really tricky, especially, you have to have a controlled environment. You have to control the humidity, the air circulation, even down to the water flow. The Montana end of it, because we're actually in the process of doing like a commercial kitchen through that way we can do all of our own processing and the whole 9 yards. The biggest thing is check with the Wisconsin state, the USDA, because they're going to want to have you test your water. They're going to make sure that all your water's clean. It doesn't have any chemicals added into it, like even like chlorine or anything like that. And then
Great thing is
also,
my brother's girlfriend actually works for the USDA
Oh,
and
there
actually
you
writes
go.
the policies for it for the country. So I got that
Oh,
part. I
yep.
got that covered. Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
I got inside connections.
Yep. And then also with that, I'll also check with the city ordinances because of the sewer. We actually come to find out that when we do our dairy barn or when we're putting up our commercial kitchen and our dairy barn, we actually have more than likely has to have a separate septic system put in in case your septic system can't handle it. So definitely check on where your sewage, the sewer water and the runoff water goes on that aspect of it too. So
See,
that's
we already
definitely
we did think about that, and the way that we
Cool.
did it is that the place that we're setting up the microgreens, if we can, because the microgreens we're not for sure if we can open them up in the incubation center, but the place that we have as a backup, I have 2 investors coming in because we're going to turn it into a full circle of life business. I'll have all the microgreens, and the 2 investors that I have that are coming in are going to buy the fish aquaponics. So we're going to use
there you
the
go.
water from the fish tanks to water the microgreens, which is super nutrient because it's
Yep.
got all the fish crap in it. And then the soil, we're going to use it and actually donate the soil to a farm because now it's a write-off. So we get to use that as a write-off, and it helps go to like take back part of the bad environment in the area because we've had so much pollution from all the chemicals and crap. So we're going to be actually giving soil to this farm so they can go back and plant trees and stuff on it, so we can actually retake part of the bad environment stuff up here.
Yep. Yeah, also with the microgreens too, since you're already going to be set up for that, check into just Sprouts. Sprouts is one of those things that is really starting to take off, especially in the higher end restaurants like you were talking. And it's just basically you put a tray like your microgreens are in, put a tray, throw some like wheat or barley into it and let it sprout. And that's another thing that you can offer in with the microgreens also.
Right now we have, I think I've got 13 different species, everything from like wheatgrass down to like kale, sunflower, sprouts, and all different types of stuff. We've done a few in-house growings like in my basement just for like friends and family and stuff. And it turned out really well. Everybody liked it. So that's where we decided like, let's turn this into a business.
Yep.
Because we started it during the beginning of COVID, like, man, I am not one to be caught off guard. So when they're sitting there saying, oh man, there's, food chain supply issues, I'll grow my own food. Forget you.
Yep.
Somebody's like, yeah, right. Okay. I went right on Amazon and ordered it right in front of them. What you mean? I spent $3,000. Can't double dog dare me. I don't need to dare. Watch me. Here I go. Can't believe I did that, but it was a great investment.
Yep.
Amazing.
But yeah, so the microgreens and fish aquaponics, we're going to take that and try and expand that into a restaurant and actually start serving, like microgreens and fish and things like that. Because up here, I've been in Eau Claire for so long, like I know all the business owners because I actually bought everything for a podcast about 3 weeks ago. We're starting a podcast where it's interviewing business owners and stuff to help promote them and advertise for them and teach other people how to open up businesses. That's why I'm here every week. I'm here, I'm focused, I'm listening because this is what I want to do. I already do community resource outreach specialist stuff in my area to help people like get a job, get back on track. So now I'm going to help promote businesses because I have so many friends that own businesses. I'm at like 44 friends that own businesses. With that many business owners, you can't fail.
You're gonna have to start selling insurance. You're gonna have to start selling insurance, Anthony, because that's all the business. Start selling stuff to them.
I tried selling insurance. They said no, criminal record.
Interesting.
But yes,
Josh,
I
Brandon?
am focused on doing this. It's just working on everybody else's time is just dragging, man. Damn.
I
That's why I
appreciate
wanted
questions, Anthony. This is
I
great.
just hate working with other people because they take forever. It's like, dude, I'm on this. Like, let's hop in the car. We're doing 100. You're trying to like walk pace. I'm trying to drive 100.
You're gonna have all the same patience for your customers and suppliers, and yeah. Josh, Brandon, what do you guys have to add? Other thoughts for Anthony's world domination tour of all the businesses he's gonna own?
I actually have a list of 64 businesses I want to own before I die.
We got to get one to work first, my man. So I would
correct. Yes, I do.
And honestly, you only need one to work, right? If you hit one big, that's all you need. So I would just find, I guess your experimentation is probably okay. but I would find the one that's working, and then I'd shut all the other shit down, and I would just get laser focused on the one that's working and investing your time, both your mental resources, your time, your energy, your money, focus it, right? I would encourage you to not get too distracted. And
Right now, my distraction is people taking forever, because if they're not going as fast as me, then I'm sitting here like, man, I'm sitting here waiting, and then I get bored, and then my mind wanders, and then I start thinking about everything else.
start
That's how I
acquiring
stay-
customers.
What's that?
So like channel that energy into acquiring customers. So start selling before you even have the thing to sell, right? Start lining people up, start talking about what you're doing. That way you've got a built up like mass that's like energy. It's ready to acquire whatever it is you're producing, right? That's where I would focus that energy instead of like getting bored and like starting a new project. Like get laser focused on building that brand and acquiring those customers. That's how I would do it.
I like that.
Great advice. Great advice, Brandon. Josh, what do you got?
I'm good. Make it happen. We're starting to wrap up on time here, so let's just. Allie's going to get the recordings out tomorrow. Next week we are going to be on. It's HR, right, Allie?
Yeah, customer service, human resources.
So kind of we'll take it to the next level as far as how do you avoid some of those negative reviews. Yeah, continue to work on your elevator pitches. Allie, thanks so much for being amazing as you are. And yeah, I'm good on my end.
Yeah, good stuff, guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Nadav, Brandon, Josh. We couldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate your time and volunteering all of your knowledge and energy to be here with us. Everyone, you will receive a recap from me tomorrow. Like I said at the beginning of class, you don't hear from me, say by end of day at the latest, something's happened, it's bounced back, your inbox is full, something, reach out. I'll make sure you get your information. Otherwise, we will see you next Wednesday. Thanks, everyone.
All right.